Yo, welcome back to another episode of Fight Bloodline. I'm not joined by no guest today. This episode will just be me. But next episode we'll get Be Ready 303 on. Matter of fact, let me there we go. So fights are currently starting right now. My apologies for the last episode. Our mic died and we had to reshoot and we couldn't get anything working. So I'm gonna just shoot this real quick. But right now, this fight between Simon Oliveira and Luan Lacerda is on right now. I don't know what's looking at. I don't know what's happening. This episode probably is gonna be posted a little bit later into the fights today, but I can even show y'all right now. Look what time it is. It is 2:16 for me. 2:16. So this episode's probably gonna get released a little bit after. Further ado, let's get down and break this fight down. Okay, so we got a bantamweight fight between Simon Oliveira and Luan Lacerda. And Simon Oliveira in his last five, he's 2-3. He's the 170 dog. That's who I got on this one. He's gonna go in there. He's gonna go piece up Luan Lacerda. Probably try and find the finish. Try to finish fight early, ground and pound. But Luan Lacerda, I feel like he's got the better takedowns, better wrestling in general. He's more of an MMA fighter compared to where I think Simon Oliveira is the better kickboxer compared to Luan, where it's mostly MMA instead of just kickboxing and mostly relies. He's just well-rounded, very well-rounded. But next fight, this fight technically isn't happening between Walter Walker and Muhammad Usman. But if this fight were to go on, I would say Walter Walker by sub, just because I don't think Muhammad Usman's He's just not as athletic as Walter Walker is. I think Walter Walker is just more of a dangerous fighter when it comes to the ground. When it comes to standing up, he can control his fight wherever it goes. So, yeah, that's what I think. Moving on next to the next fight. This is a flyweight fight between Jafel Filiho and Clayton Carpenter. Jafel Filiho is 3-2 in his last five, and Clayton Carpenter is 4-1 in his last five, and that's who I went with on this fight. He's also the plus 103 dog. You know, we gotta root for our Americans in Brazil. He's Jafel Filiho. He's fighting in his home country, so he's definitely gonna have an advantage there. But he's probably the better striker. But I think Clayton's gonna rely on his wrestling and just more MMA bound than just straight up wrestling and jiu-jitsu. I think he's gonna it's gonna be a good scrap. But we kind of have to go quick. So yeah, this one I got Clayton Carpenter. Probably I say, yeah, I think Clayton Carpenter by decision. But I also think Fajilio is really good and he could get the sub. But I'd have to go Carpenter decision. Moving on next, we got Sean O'Malley versus Beatriz Mesquita. She is 5-0 in her last five fights, and she is fighting in home crowd. I think she's gonna dominate this fight. If I'm not to be mistaken, I think this is her UFC debut. I might have to go look into that a little bit more. That's who we're going with on this one. I mean, you know, if y'all watch the final face-offs, she came in with high energy. She doesn't look like she's ready for a 5-0 undefeated prospect, though. She's also a little bit older in this fight. She's a 450 dog. She's probably gonna get dominated either in the stand-up game or the wrestling. I think she loses both ways. But you know, we'll see. Anything can happen in a fight. Moving on to the next fight is Julia Polistri versus Carolina Kolowakisis, I believe is how you say that. Kolowakisis, coming fighting out of Poland, is a 16-9 in her UFC career, and she is 3-2 in her last five. And with the cherry on top, she is a plus 85 dog, which is not the greatest for betting. Because me personally, I think she should be a favorite in this fight. But moving on to the next, this fight right here. Julia Polistri. She's the 350 favorite. She's 3-2 in the last five, and she's a total record of 13-5 in her career. She's fighting home crowd territory, and I think I'm gonna go with the upset here. I think Carolina Kowalski gets this one. She's a lot older. If you look at these last couple fights, shout out Darren T on Bro Talk MMA. We were talking about this. These older fighters have been putting belt. They've been putting belt to ass on these young fighters. They've been really for examples, Alexander Volkanovski to Diego Lopez. What's the Michael Johnson and Zellhuber. It's another one, and I think this we can't call her aunt, but I ain't aunt over here. I think she's gonna get the dub. I think she'll probably round out a decision. It's not gonna be the most entertaining fight, but she'll probably outstrike her and get the decision. Another upset win, but going to the next fight should be a pretty banger right here. We got a heavyweight fight between Thomas Peterson and Victor Petrino. He's the Victor Petrino is the 245 favorite. He is also 3-2 in his last five, and he holds a record of 12-2 in his UFC career. But his only weaknesses, I know, he has not the greatest wrestling, but he's also dangerous on the ground. But he's very chinny. He's been knocked out, I believe, 2 times in his career, really bad. And that's exactly. I feel like Thomas Peterson, 10-3 in the UFC, 3-2 in his last five. He's the 195 dog. I just don't feel like he's got what it takes to handle a guy like Petrino. Pause. But he's just not athletic enough. I think Petrino's gonna go in there. He's gonna work him, and he's a little bit younger, which just adds the cherry on top. Yeah, I think I have to go Victor Petrino either by KO, TKO, or submission. Moving on next, we got Lucas Rocha and Stuart Nicole. Let's break down Lucas Rocha. He's 17-2 in his UFC career. He's the -120 favorite. He's also 4-1 in his last five. He's a lot younger in this matchup. He's the orthodox fighter, and I think I'm actually gonna go with Stuart Nicolo on this one. Me and B Ready say it all the time. We'd love to go with the underdogs. Another underdog I'm going with is Stuart Nicol. He's 8-1 in the UFC and he's 4-1 in his last five. He's an Aussie. Gotta go with our guys from down under. And he's gonna upset Lucas Rocha in the striking game and the wrestling game. I think he's gonna dominate for 3 rounds. And he's gonna get the ground and pound work going. He's gonna find most likely a decision. I think Stuart Nicol by decision. Moving on to the main card, I believe. We got a welterweight match between Vicente Luque and Yoel Alvarez. We got Luque coming as a UFC vet as a 375 dog. He's 23-11 in his UFC career, and he's 2-3 in his last five. And I kind of found this crazy, but these two are so close in age that I thought Vicente Luque was a lot older than 33, because he's been fighting the UFC for so long. The age difference is actually not that crazy. And I think this fight could go both ways. We got also another dangerous fighter in Yoel Alvarez. He's a 500 favorite. He's 22-3 in his UFC career, and he's 4-1 in his last five. He definitely has the better striking. He can also find the knockout pretty quick if he wants to, or submission, because he's dangerous in both games. If I could describe Yoel Alvarez, he's like a Marcio Rufio to striking, and maybe almost Brian Ortega Jiu-Jitsu, I think. Watching some of his old fights and go looking at his record before the UFC, this dude's pretty badass. He's dangerous in both ways of the game. So I'm going with him by knockout. I think he's going to find a crazy whoa kick or a crazy punch. He's going to find something. He's going to catch him on his chin. Next fight is between Ricardo Ramos and Khan Olifi. Ricardo Ramos, 17-7 in the UFC. He's the minus 205 favorite, and he's 2-3 in his last 5. Compared to Conor Olifi, he's the 175 dog, 11-4 in his UFC career, and he's 3-2 in his last 5. Ricardo Ramos definitely has the better striking and not the wrestling. Actually, no. Yeah. I'd say Ricardo Ramos is probably going to win in the striking and wrestling. Like, he's ready for this fight. He has a good camp. I was looking into it. Conor Olifi, there's a reason he's an underdog. Everybody's going with Ricardo Ramos for a reason. He's going to go in there. He's going to wrestle his ass off. And then honestly, I think he's going to wrestle for the first 2 rounds. And then 3rd round, he's going to try and pick him apart and find the finish. Or to work Conor Olifi, I just don't think he's going to be able to handle the pressure. He's not going to be able to handle the home field advantage again. And yeah. I think we got Ricardo Ramos for the dub. I think if I had to pick it, either decision or knockout, I don't think he's going to find the sub, but you see, anything can happen. But next fight, featherweight bout between Lucas Almeida and Michael Aswell. Just wanted to say that right. And I got Lucas Almeida on this one. He's 15-4 in his UFC career. He's the 135 dog. He's got home field advantage, and he's 2-3 in his last fight. Compared to Michael Aswell, he's the minus 155 favorite. He's 10-3 in the UFC. He's 3-2 in his last 5. Give me Lucas Almeida on this one. He's gonna go in there. Like I said, every card there's always that crazy knockout. I called it last episode when I went on Bro Talk MMA. Where I went on, I said that I'd find the crazy KO with the Joling Sung, I believe, and there was another Brazilian fighter which he was showboating, and he ended up knocking him out all crazy. I believe that's what this fight is right here. Lucas Almeida is going to show something to Dana White and Hunter Campbell, which he deserves to be in top 15. I think he's going to dominate this fight by a crazy knockout. But moving on to the next fight, we have another heavyweight fight between Gervonta Danis and Mario Pinto. We got Gervonta Danis 9-1 in his UFC career. He's the plus 130 dog, and he's 4-1 in his last 5. And he's a little bit older in this matchup compared to Mario Pinto. He's the 150 favorite, 10-0. He's 5-0 in his last 5, making his UFC debut. If I'm not mistaken, I think he's coming off the Contender Series. And he's going to go in there, and he's going to lose his ass off. I said it. I know more people are going with him over Gervonta Danis because I was looking at all the podcasts and the precision tracker. I'll prove some people wrong. I think Gervonta Danis, he's going to go in there. He's going to take this dude out the UFC. It's going to be bad. But, it's heavyweight. Anything can happen. These dudes have the heaviest hands in the UFC. Not these two, the heavyweight division. Anything can happen, It's heavyweight. But I got Gervonta Danis landing the bigger shots. He's also a vet, so he's going to know a lot more about UFC than Mario Pinto. Like, he's been in the octagon a lot more. And I believe he should win this fight. Moving on next is the co-main event of the evening. We got Deiveson Figueiredo, former UFC flyweight champion, 24-5 in his UFC career. He's the plus 35 dog, and he's 3-2 in his last 5. With those 2 losses being to Corey Sandhagen, which was an injury loss, and I wouldn't call it close to Piotr Jan because Piotr Jan kind of put on a masterclass. But he did fight Piotr. Did go to distance with him, so props to him. He's also a lot older in this matchup, 37-33. And Montel Jackson, he's the minus 275 favorite. This is a big fight for him. He's 5-0 in the UFC. He's 15-2 in his UFC career. And give me Montel Jackson on this. I think it's Figgy's time to retire. He's too old to be fighting anymore. And Montel Jackson, he's got the faster hands, more punch power. He's more fresh. I think he's gonna be a big thing in this bantamweight division. Yeah, Montel Jackson for sure. And he's gonna get it by either KO or TKO. And if y'all are some casuals, which I'm hoping not, most of you casuals think when I say TKO, that's like sleeping. But knockouts when you sleep them. TKO is like, it could be either you take him down, right? And then you ground and pound, or you just knock him out cold and then ground and pound. That would be considered TKO. Just had to go over that just in case, because I never go just by KO TKO. I just put TKO. But this fight's gonna be a knockout. Montel Jackson's gonna go in there. He's gonna whoop him. Then moving on to the main event of the evening, we got Charles Oliveira taking on Mateus Gamrot in the lightweight division. Gamrot is stepping on short notice for injured Rafael Fiziev. It's the same knee. He needs to be more careful with this so he don't pull out no more or get injured in fights against Mateus Gamrot. Just wanted to point that out. I thought that was crazy when I was looking at it. But let's break down our lightweight king, Charles Oliveira. 35-11 in his UFC career. He's the 100-plus underdog. He's 2-3 in his last 5, with those losses being to Arman Tsarukyan, Islam Makhachev, and Ilia Topuria. And he's also a former lightweight champion, which had a crazy run against people like Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje. And I think, honestly, who else is on that title run? Ferguson. He just ran through like the lightweight division. I mean, apparently, according to West Till Death on Instagram, a fight when McGregor came back, when he beat Donald Cerrone and he was ranked number 5, they could have potentially matched him up, and that would have been the end of Charles Oliveira's reign because Conor McGregor's a GOAT. No, I don't want to hear no ifs, ands, or buts. You know, he's a double champion in the UFC. Conor, my king. I'd love to have you on, even though you probably never heard about this podcast. You're probably too famous for it, but we'd love to have you on. Just saying. No glaze intended. But let's break down Mateus Gamrot. He's the -120 dog, 25-3 in his UFC career, and he's 4-1 in his last 5 without one loss, being to Danielle Hooker. And I'd say it was pretty close. I think Mateus Gamrot, I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me, but I think he was kind of robbed since he dominated that first round, and then the second and third, I think it was Hooker. But I don't know what Daniel Hooker's really fighting for. I mean, he's not going to beat nobody ranked above like Holloway, Gaethje, Arman, Islam, Ilia. I don't see him beating any of those dudes. So I think Mateus Gamrot was robbed. And that's why, man, this is such a hard fight to pick because I think Gamrot could freaking sit there and wrestle him the whole time and just control a fight and really put a beating on Oliveira. But at the same time, that's Charles Oliveira. If you take him down, he could jump a ghillie, triangle, wherever the hell he wants. So if I had to choose, I think I'll lean more towards Charles Oliveira since he's undefeated in Brazil, fighting in his home country, Rio de Janeiro. I think he's gonna go in there and find Gamrot's chin. And that's why I chose on the trackers Charles by knockout. I think I'm gonna stick with it. I think Charles Oliveira is gonna go in there and finish him. Honestly, I see the fight playing out. Mateus starts heavily. For the first 2 rounds, Gamrot's going to sit there and wrestle and wrestle and wrestle. And then in the later rounds, rounds 3 through 5, I think Gamrot's going to end up getting tired. I think Oliveira's going to find his chin. He's going to catch him kind of like he did Michael Chandler, where he threw like this would say like a hook and then catch him on the cage and just boom, boom, boom. I think that's exactly how it's going to go, if I had to keep it real. But, we're trying to get this one going. I'm sorry, y'all, for this episode. We will be fixing this issue with the guest here soon. We'll get B ready on next week and possibly look into a new guest on our show. when we hit 100 subscribers. We got a bunch of stuff going on. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, share, turn on that notifications when we have new videos coming out. And shout outs to Bro Talk MMA, Utica, Darren T, and Ray Bucks. Give him his crown. Mr. Make This Pick real quick. And Darren T to hit your parlay. Go subscribe to them. They're so close to 300, guys. Come on. Let's go get subscribed to them. Make sure they get to their goal of 300. And I think this has been another episode of Fight Bloodline, y'all. Cop the hats. And we'll see you later.